All right, here we are with Ron Gilson, who I consider Gloucester's foremost historian. Tells it like it is, not a romanticized version, but just the way it was. Ron, do you have a story in mind that you want to share?
Yeah, I have a story this morning, Joe, about the Schooner adventure. And when I served on the committee, the first committee with Joseph Garland, he was the chairman. There were many of us from Gloucester, about 17 on the committee, and we were charged after all the formalities got through. We were charged with bringing the vessel down from Bath, Maine. Captain Jim Sharp had put the vessel in storage on the just below the Bath Iron Works, and she was there. Had been condemned by the Coast Guard, and Captain Jim Sharp had her surveyed by Giffey Full, and his part of the contract was done, and we were charged with taking the vessel down to Gloucester. So Jim Sharp was going to deliver the vessel with his original crew, and he requested that 7 volunteers from Gloucester were allowed to go along with the rest of the crew.
To bring it back home.
To bring it back to Gloucester.
Okay, can you, just to back up 1 second, can you explain the historical significance of the adventure for people that might not know to Gloucester? Why is everybody have such a hard? Why is everybody so excited about the adventure?
Because the Schooner adventure, built in 1926 in the James Yard in Essex, is the last remaining viable example of dory fishing in New England. That is the legacy that she has, and under Captain Jim Sharp, she sailed out of Castine, Maine, on a cruise ship status for the last remaining years of her life. But anyway, she fished out of Boston, and was probably the most successful dory fisherman in the late 40s and 50s when the business had gone downhill and there were no more men to fish with her.
Now, why do some people say the Letty G. Howard was more of a significant ship to Gloucester, Massachusetts?
The Letty G. Howard is an old example of clipper-type ship, clipper-type bow design, as I recall, and she was...
where was she built?
She was built in Essex. She also was built in Essex, and an older vessel, I believe, than she came before the Adventure. But the Letty G. Howard is much smaller than the Adventure. The Adventure truly was a dory fisherman from the get-go, and she remained so all her life. So. Anyway, we were charged with bringing the vessel down, and Joe Garland, my friend, assigned me as the head man to monitor who went up to bring the vessel down. Parsons.
Doug Parsons.
Doug Parsons.
Husband of Gloria Parsons.
Husband of Gloria, God love her. She's a wonderful cook, and she served breakfast aboard the Adventure. But that's another story. Anyway, Doug came with us, along with my friend Bill Chapin, still with us today, living on Franklin Square. And there was Skip Ross was there. We had seven people from Gloucester. And Joe gave me the honor of selecting some of the people. Now that was kind of a left-handed honor, because we had about 4 or 5 that would already had been designated to go. There was a couple of remaining slots, and that put me in the position of having to select out of about 40 volunteers, one last remaining person. So it was not quite the greatest thing in the world. Anyway, we were coming down, and it was a beautiful sail. We come out of the Kennebec River, and it was a beautiful sunny day. I have pictures of myself at the wheel and different members of our...
what time of the year was it?
This was in August of 1987, I believe. And we were coming along, Now you have to understand that the Adventure at that time was was condemned by the Coast Guard. She no longer could carry passengers for hire, so that was the reason for Jim Sharp getting out of the business, and he donated it to the Gloucester Adventure Committee. So here we are bringing her along, and we sailed along fine, and she came along fine. It was, you know, adventure always to me was, even in her remaining days, she was always a sprite chipper vessel that, you know, she just minded her seaway, and it was an exciting thing to sail over. There was never any white water come over her decks. You could walk around all day long with slipshods on and never get... Anyway, just a fine vessel. So we're coming along, and we get word that there's a gale of wind coming, and it starts to pick up, and we're on the second day, and we took our time, and it really started to get kind of snotty. So Jim called us all together down by the wheel, and he said, now listen, we're going to go in tonight into Portsmouth, and it's going to be blowing a gale of wind about this afternoon when we arrive. And you must understand that Jim Sharp had kind of a little feeling about the Coast Guard since they had condemned his vessel. So he says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to enter Portsmouth Harbor. It's going to be blowing a gale of wind. We're going to have everything on it. Every sail, every piece of canvas we got, we'll put it right up there. And we're going to come into Portsmouth Harbor, and we're going to circle around that harbor, and the Coast Guard station sits out on the wharf right in front of us. And we're going to go right by that Coast Guard station. I tell you, we'll be able to put a piece of paper between us and the Coast Guard. So, and he says everybody has to be on their toes, because when we round the harbor, we're going to go into the yacht basin there, where they have commercial yachts, and as soon as we get there, everything has to drop at once and drop the anchor, and she'll stop on a dime. If that doesn't happen, we'll run into every boat that's in the harbor and sink the whole fleet. So that's what we did. We came in the harbor, and we're going lickety-split right around, and I remember it to this day. There's condominiums in Portsmouth Harbor, and there were a couple of men standing on the float in front of their condominium, and they were washing the float down and so forth. And we came around there screaming so close that both of them jumped overboard.
Who jumped overboard?
The two guys standing on the float, washing down the float, they jumped overboard. Then the Coast Guard men were standing in the window, looking out the window, and they were amazed to see this big 120-foot vessel come screaming at them with all the sails up. We turned right around quickly, came up inside that basin, that yacht basin, and when he gave us a sound, when he hollered to us, boom, everything dropped. We dropped the anchor, and she stopped on a dime.
Wow.
That night we anchored in Portsmouth, and the next morning we brought her into Gloucester. That's my story.
That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that with us. See, when you die, Ron, no one's going to know that story, but we have it preserved here for history.
That's a true story.
Thanks, Ron.